everybody. My name is Alex Hayes. Here with Hannah Bleem. We're from Wiki Morris Baugh. We are working with Cactus Racks to work through the entitlement process to rezone this property to C2 to allow for the continued operation of Cactus Racks, so they can have the proper zoning and be able to get the proper licenses to continue operating, as I think everybody here knows it. Who here are regulars with Cactus Racks on this?
Everybody?
Does anybody have any questions or concerns about Cactus Racks and what we're proposing here?
Great job.
If anybody is scared to raise their hand right now,
Raise your hand.
yeah, Hannah and I will be here to answer any questions you have. We will be happy to talk to anybody about what's being proposed here. We get a question.
Well, I just have a question about the zoning part itself. The zoning, is that just going to help keep this alive, which is good? Or is it going to allow other things to come in that shouldn't or may not be, shouldn't allow?
I'll touch on that in a second.
Oh, cool, thanks.
I'll kind of talk through what we're actually doing here and what our request is and kind of what the result of that would be, and then a kind of timeline for the process. It sure is. So,
Pardon me.
so we'll talk about that in a moment. We can kind of get to questions at the end here, but so can everybody hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Speak boring in the mic.
How about now? Okay. So the Tuscany Village Center was originally zoned C1 PCD as part of the Tatum Ranch PCD, Planned Community Development zoning that was established, I think, 40 years ago. Part of the shopping center, or the Village Center, was rezoned on two separate occasions from C1 to C2. That was for the Copper Bowl Distillery, I think that was about 10 years ago, and then for the wine shop, that was zoned to C2 just last year. The rest of the Tuscany Village Center is still zoned C1. So when we were approached by Sean and Lynn about Cactus Racks and getting a C2 zoning for this facility to be able to operate the billiards hall and continue operating the Cactus Racks League, we approached the city of Phoenix to discuss with planning staff what our intent was and that we wanted to rezone this portion C2. And their comment to us was that rather than kind of piecemealing this whole shopping center from C1 to C2, but on one shop at a time, they asked that we just include in our application the whole Tuscany Village Center, make a request that the whole center be C2 just to have some compatible zoning on the site. It's kind of unusual to have a commercial corner like this with that mix of C1 and C2 zoning. So we submitted our application in August. Part of that application process, you have to have a neighborhood meeting, which is what we're doing here today. Then we will get comments back from planning staff, the city of Phoenix, and then there's a public hearing process. First, we'll go to what's called the Village Planning Committee. We're currently scheduled to do that in January. They're a recommending body, so we'll present our application, kind of explain what we're trying to do here. That recommending body takes a vote, and they say whether they recommend that this rezoning be approved or denied. After that, we go to the Planning Commission. That's currently scheduled for February. Same thing, present the case. Planning Commission makes a recommendation ultimately to City Council, and then City Council in February would make a final determination of whether they approve the rezoning for the village center. After that point, if we're successful, this whole center will be zoned C2, specifically the Cactus Racks restaurant and billiards hall will have the proper zoning to allow the billiards hall, and more importantly, would be able to get the licenses through the city to operate the league and what's called an amusement center, and be able to kind of do all the things that you guys are used to doing here as part of the Cactus Racks League. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Typically, this is a very unusual neighborhood meeting for Hannah and I. Usually we come and we're proposing rezonings and new projects. We have a lot of other exhibits because it's usually on raw, undeveloped land, so we're kind of showing renderings and site plans and landscape plans. In this case, what you see is what you're going to get. All this is doing is kind of changing the zoning to allow what's currently happening here. We're also not used to being surrounded by supporters. Usually this is a situation where we're to get out alive when we have a crowd this size. We're usually, it's usually not a love fest, it's usually quite the opposite. So, with that said, we're happy to answer any questions you have. I think there was one question about if this is zone C2, would it allow other commercial uses? Yes, it would. It would, commercial, C2 is kind of a general commercial district. It does allow a little bit more, a wider variety of uses that compared to the C1 district. But again, it's the same zoning that exists here and here. It's what you see on most commercial corners.
So my question is, will it require the other tenants to do anything different or pay anything to rezone their space? Because we're looking at the whole strip mall.
Yeah, good question. No, the shopping center owner is kind of coordinating in this process, and they're all approve of the application and request.
So there's specific C2s right now that were all individual. This is an individual place. Why is the city of Phoenix now saying you have to rezone the whole 7 acres that are left with all those other ones that have been around for 20, 30, whatever plus years? Barrows and all the other ones that have operated under C1, which is our neighborhood commercial, opening up to intermediate commercial, may bring in tenants that neighborhood people may not want to see come in.
Yeah, another good question. This was, again, planning staff, they just don't like to see these kind of repeated, I'm sorry, it's bouncing around here, but these kind of repeated onesie, twosie rezone requests. They would rather just see a shopping center that's kind of typically treated similarly from a zoning perspective to just have consistent zoning. So that's why they asked that we include the balance of the Tuscany Village Center in that request.
No, that's kind of.
When Black Mountain opened, Distillery, or when 100 opened, and then closed, and never had that issue. Why now?
Yeah, I think they saw it once and they're okay, we'll do it. They saw it twice and like, okay, we'll do one more. But then the third one came in and they're like, okay, we can't do every single unit in here rezoning one at a time.
So intermediate could let in places, not salons, not barber shops, but could end up letting in.
Like a pool hall.
No, no.
Dollar store.
If this was just here, they weren't operating this way before. There's no issue with it. I'm talking other spaces.
So people are worried there's gonna be a strip club or
A strip
Yeah.
club, a vape shop, a CBD. We don't want those in our neighborhood. This is a neighborhood area. This place has never been a problem. They've been operating here for 100 years. So it's never been a problem. So why not increase and allow the CT here?
I think part of this is what the city is going to do, and ultimately the council member is willing to approve, and what they would like to see is that there's be consistent zoning on the site. Good news is strip clubs are not permitted in C2. It is still kind of an intermediate commercial district. You're not going to see a lot of very intense uses, and it's going to be uses that are going to need to be met by the market. So if the community doesn't want it, it's not going to be successful.
Who can we talk to at the city? Do you have any of that information that you can provide us? That we can talk to the committee that we have the city that says this is fine, but we don't want to see it on the other 6 acres or whatever plus.
Sure, we can provide that
There's
information.
already a vape store right down the street.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
There's already a vape store right down the street.
But there isn't right in this one,
True.
right? It's down by Kmart, by the Circle K.
Circle K, yeah.
Down by Circle K.
That's also at the discretion.
That's also.
But yeah,
Landlord doesn't have to rent it.
and those stores would have to be successful up here.
Absolutely.
Nobody's gonna go to those.
It's a great point that the ultimate owner of the Tuscany Village Center has an interest in having tenants that are compatible with the rest of the village center and the community. So, they have their own kind of vested interest in
They live in Bend, Oregon?
I don't know.
That's what our paper said, the owner
Yes,
lives in
he
Bend,
does.
Oregon.
He's brand new. The old owner sold on Friday. We signed the lease on Thursday, and the old owner of this sold on Friday to an owner in Bend, Oregon. We have a local property management company that we deal with, but yes, that is true. He lives in Bend.
But he wants this thing to be successful. He makes money when there's tenants operating here and there's customers coming and he's not going to want to bring in a bunch of uses.
The timeline to get one place done through the city for an established business versus doing the whole 7 acres.
It's the same process.
Oh, slow you.
Yeah, slow.
It's government, of course.
Yeah, there's a specific process you have to go through. 3 public hearings, neighborhood meetings, city review. And it's just an important process to allow citizen participation. I mean, generally speaking, you don't see opposition to a request like this that would be, again, creating consistent zoning through here. Right now, we really haven't seen any citizen opposition. There was the recent visit to this operation, but I think we can work through that. And
Is there everything on the other past owners? Will you have any influence on that? Like the past history of those?
I mean, I think the past operations could have an impact on the overall perception of this, but that's kind of our job to go tell that story about what's actually occurring here. And I think situations like this, when you have a room full of support for this rezone, is very helpful.